Okay, guys, we are going to talk about the ALCS. We're going to talk about the NLCS. In the meantime, while I'm talking about it, you guys can enjoy my last 22 home runs from Correa to Freddie Freeman to Alex Rios to Basabe. But let's get to the ALCS, NLCS. Let's start with the NLCS for some reason. The NLCS is quite interesting. Acuna Jr., Marcell Ozuna, Freddie Freeman. I don't know what to say about these guys, but they have put together a low leverage, high leverage team. And what I mean by that is they win game one, they shock the world. They win game two, they shock the world. They get lambasted for one inning. And I'm trying to remember what was the name of that pitcher. But I don't think wasn't it Kyle Wright? I think we're not going to see that pitcher again for the rest of the series because they're going to go for one game. Tonight's game, they're going to go low leverage. And what that means by low leverage is the fact that when you have a 3-1 lead in a series, you're trying to use a low leverage pitcher and fluke a win, if that makes any sense. Because if they lose tonight by any chance, then they can put their high leverage pitchers, which are Ian Anderson and Max Fried, into game 6 and game 7. But because they have so much leverage going on in these last 3 games, and they're the hot team, I don't really see a pathway for the Dodgers to win that. And, good luck to all these teams. But being an Astros fan, and this is not personal. This is not personal, but being an Astros fan, it gets old to see every year that they're going to say Dodgers, Yankees, Dodgers, Yankees, Dodgers, Yankees. Their next year's pick in the media is going to be Dodgers, Yankees. Well, it doesn't seem to be coming true that often. In fact, the Yankees haven't even been in the World Series since 2009. They have not even been in the World Series for the last 12 World Series straight. That was now, if you count this World Series coming up next week, that's 13 World Series in a row that they haven't been in. Is it 13 or is it 12? I'm losing my count here. I think the last 12. It was 13 World Series ago, but they haven't been in the last 12. And so, you can't keep picking the Yankees. I'm sorry. The Tampa Bay Rays, the media's darling is the Yankees. The Tampa Bay Rays have had their number all year long, all playoffs long. But then the media just stuck with it because the media hates being wrong. And, I can't blame them for hating being wrong. There's A.J. Pollock going yard right there on the video. Like I said, once again, this is my last 22 home runs online, which I've acquired. I think it took me since the day before yesterday and today. So that's how long it takes me to get 22 home runs in this game. All against like 100 prestige players, 57 prestige players. I think almost all of these, I would say probably 8 out of 10 of these games were against prestige players. Anyway, back to the ALCS, NLCS. As far as the relief pitching, Mike Tomlin, he got lambasted. And so momentum is a funny thing because momentum is something you have, let's say for minutes or an inning at a time where you just have all the momentum. But you never know when that momentum swing is going to happen again. Because let's say at the end of game 3, or is it the end of game 2? I can't remember, game 2 or game 3. Game 2, I'm sorry. The Dodgers go on this run of 4 runs. But it was really only 3 hits, but it was 3 incredible hits. They continue that momentum into the first inning of the next game, game 4, and go on this run of 11-0 on Kyle Wright. And it just was absolutely ugly. And, for the rest of the game, the Braves stuck in there. And it's kind of a weird thing because it all of a sudden becomes a manager's job to know how to run the bullpen. Not how to get, because you have several more games to go in a series. And these series are long. A lot of emotions, a lot of momentum swings. And us as viewers, all we can do is analyze it. And it's really just out of our control. But just to let you guys know, this is the absolute truth. Momentum is a really, really funny thing. When you've got it, you've got it. But you don't know when the momentum swing comes. And when the momentum swing comes, it's completely real. So when you feel like you've got it in a game, any type of sports game, you don't necessarily got it. When you have the momentum, you have it. But you don't know when you're going to let go of it and the other team grabs it. And momentum is really super real. Clutch factor, it's funny because they don't know how to define it, but clutch factor is completely real. Clutch factor really means is how do you perform under pressure. So it's completely real. I don't understand why the media says it's not something they can define or it's not real. There he goes with a rage quit right there. And so anyway, if you look at, Clayton Kershaw again, I mean, he had 2 good games, but they were in the NLDS. They weren't in the championship series, or they weren't in the World Series. And if you can see that Clayton Kershaw, actually, I believe they stated yesterday on MLB Network or MLB Tonight that he has the lowest ERA of any starting pitcher that's been in the playoffs more than 20. This is a weird play here on the video, so it kind of caught me off guard. He doesn't tag him, he scores a run and flukes me. It was so weird. Anyway, look at that fielding glitch there too. So Clayton Kershaw is a completely different person. But let me just analyze Clayton Kershaw. Clayton Kershaw he's good for 4 innings. And if you look at even the World Series 2017, he was good for 4 innings. But once it comes to the 5th inning and 6th inning, he runs out of gas. It's just so weird how he runs out of gas. But Clayton Kershaw is not good for 5 and 6 innings. You don't want to take a chance. He might be one day, but generally he's not. He's good for about maybe 4 1/3, 4 2/3 innings. And so that's Dave Roberts' fault yesterday for leaving him in, because it was a tight game up until Dave Roberts left him in. And Dave Roberts should know baseball a little bit better than that. And I'm not going to criticize these guys too bad. Like I said, Clayton Kershaw is good for 4 innings. But Dave Roberts lost them, to criticize him a little bit, Dave Roberts lost them the World Series in 2017. But then Dave Roberts is one of those 4 or 5 main people, like Cody Belliacre and Aaron Judge, that were complaining. And like Carlos Correa said, it's not really, why don't you stop complaining about it? And why don't you start doing something about it? And for these teams like the Yankees and Dodgers to try to buy championships, and I don't really have a problem with buying championships. But when a team like the Tampa Bay Rays, overtakes the Yankees with a third, less than a third, 30% of their salary, I think 29% of their salary, 3.5 times less. It's kind of funny. But anyway, back to the NLCS. I just think that, Brian Snitker has been absolutely managing a perfect game. And it's almost like an IQ battle, because you're given the talent you're given, but then the manager has to do something about it and know when to not overutilize players. And that's been a flaw of Dave Roberts the entire time. And it's really interesting to see Dave Roberts continually make these errors. And honestly, unless somebody like, trying to think, Walker Buehler or the rest of the team lifts Clayton Kershaw to a championship, I don't really think that Clayton Kershaw is going to win a championship. And that's not to be overcritical of the Dodgers organization, but the Dodgers, and I have friends that are Dodgers fans. You can just support any team you want, but I'm telling you this, or I'm saying this, I'm stating this, is that as an Astros fan, the Dodgers fan haven't really been nice to us, and neither have the Yankees fans. So anyway, there's a lot more I could say about, the Dodgers, but the Dodgers got most of their runs in that first inning against, Kyle Wright. But then since then, and before then, they went dry for a couple games, and they went dry since then. They went dry after. It's crazy to watch their hot and cold streaks, their momentum. But yesterday they only had 3 hits, and the final score, I believe, was 10-2, and they only had 3 hits. 2 of them were by Justin Turner. So you can't have this swing for the fences mentality. I mean, sometimes, it's all good and fun to hit home runs and, drive, deep balls in the gap, but sometimes you just have to take good at bats and really, stop swinging at off-speed pitches down in the dirt. It's more of a, they said, John Smoltz said yesterday, the mechanics become the physical, and then the physical becomes the mental. And when you have mechanic problems, they become physical problems, and then they become mental problems. And so, anyway, I could go on and on, but let's talk about the ALCS, and let's even talk about the Tampa Bay Rays. I've been meaning to make videos about these guys for a couple days now, and apologies about that. But I don't really have mood swings when it comes to baseball because I watch a lot of baseball. So this is a 7-game series, and I wanted it to go to 6 or 7. No matter what happens tonight, I'm still going to have kind of that same attitude. Whether the Rays win, whether the Astros win, I can say this: Rays fans and the Tampa Bay Rays organization, top to bottom, is super classy. The way that they've talked about the Astros, and the media tried to stir up something about them saying something about the Astros. The Rays fans and team are classy. Class top to bottom. $69 million budget per year versus the 221 of the Yankees, and the Yankees got taken out. Mike Brasso got the ultimate revenge. He literally, the guy who threw out his head, he got a second chance in the playoffs against him. And Mike Brasso goes yard on Aroldis Chapman and takes out the Yankees in one mighty swing. It wasn't quite a Bill Mazeroski Altuve moment because it didn't happen in the bottom of the 9th inning. It wasn't a walk-off. But Mike Brasso got the ultimate revenge. It's the ultimate revenge story of this year. They go on and they get really hot against the Astros, and the Astros make a little awkward mistakes here and there, and they're leaving a lot of runners left on base and stuff like that, but they were getting more hits than Tampa Bay. But Tampa Bay, all credit to them, was taking advantage of their situational baseball and getting wins, and that's all that matters is the final score. But here's something: is you learn, everybody should know this, you learn everything in losing, and you don't really learn a lot in winning. It's the losses and the way that the Astros have come back in the last 2 games and made sure that they weren't swept and they got themselves back in this series. It's baseball. One bad inning from our pitchers. Let's be honest. I didn't think our pitchers are going to survive the Tampa Bay Rays. Let's just be completely brutally honest about that. But our team has class too. And our rookie pitchers have shown up just enough to hold the Rays off. But I'm not very emotional about this because one bad inning for one of these guys, or one bad inning for the Astros, and it's over for us. And so my hat's off to the Astros for holding their head up high. My hat's off to the Rays. I don't have any problem with winning or losing. Like I said, I'm not very emotional about this. But let's put it this way. The Rays have 8 wins in the playoffs, and the Astros have 7 wins in the playoffs so far. So either way, no matter what happens, because nobody can foresee the future, these teams have had winning seasons to have this many wins in the playoffs. Not all the other teams can say that. So let's put it even this way. If the Dodgers lose tonight and the Astros lose tonight, the Astros have had more playoff wins than the Dodgers this year. So this is a win-win for everybody. And I'm just enjoying it, and I could go on and on. But let's just leave it at that. We could sub-analyze the Astros hitting and in the pitching, but Nick Anderson, excuse me. Nick Anderson made a fatal flaw, and you could clearly see that Correa was looking for a fastball. And if you're a coach, if you're a catcher and you're calling the game, it's really the catcher's fault for allowing that to be called. He should have he should have gone up to the pitcher, but Correa was clearly looking fastball. If you watch that at bat again, he was clearly looking fastball, and Nick Anderson gave him the fastball, and that ended the game. And we're in the series at 3-2. It's going to be fun either way. I don't have any sour grapes, except except for the fans that have been mean to the Astros. But the Tampa Bay Rays haven't been. They've been completely classy, and don't let the media stir up anything on us. And anyway, that's my video, and hopefully you liked it, and take care. Have a good day.